For December the 15th, 2023, we talk about Jusant, Hawked, Teardown, and much more. Welcome to level 482. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm Moxie.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Thank you for understanding as we took last week off. Came around to be, I think, the day before recording, or maybe the day of. And a bunch of stuff came up, but ultimately I was just fucking toasted after Duckstream.
Yeah, you went hard. Everyone went hard.
It is an event that requires going hard. So we called an audible and we decided not to record, which is fine. We can do that because Duckstream was a huge success.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing.
Was that the highest ever that was donated?
It depends on, so it is the second highest, just by virtue of some weird way a match worked in, I think, 2020 or 2019, but only by like a little. So it's just one of those things where like it's second highest, but by like a technicality. But anytime we make over our goal is good.
Yeah,
so...
it's like in one of those Lovecraft things. But instead of waiting till the stars are right, you have to wait till the accountomancy is right.
Yes, yeah. But thanks to y'all for coming on. We had a larger than normal kind of like real estate on the East Coast sections for multiplayer. And that is thanks to your efforts and being on there. It was a really good time. Sure, we'll talk about some of the games, but also huge thanks to everybody who donated, because it always rules to see money be raised for Transactive.
Making a tangible difference in one corner of the world.
Yeah. So that's really all that I've got. Everything since then for me has been recovering from that. Like it was recovery, and then it has also been like catching up on homework and catching up on work that was put off from prep, and also cramming so we can take time off over the holidays. So I've not had much in the way. Yeah,
it's a good thing that you weren't like launching a new show or anything during the same window. That would have been insane.
Yeah. Fortunately, a lot of the work that we did for that was already done by the time we got into the real crunch, which is good. But you raise a point, Dennis. Real Lich Hours is out. So go to reallichhours.com. That is Gary and I's new show about Baldur's Gate 3, a game that I think is very good. I think more people should play it. First few episodes are going to be free. Go and spread the reallichhours.com website to as many people as you can. And then after that, it's going to go on the Patreon. But we also launched the show during that too.
Sweet. Big deal.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's all that I've got. Dennis, since you blew up my spot on the new show, how about you? What's going on?
Oh, is that all? I had some fun actually right before I jumped down here on the board games front.
Okay.
So I want to talk about that. We finally got around to playing Throw Burrito as a family.
Okay. I don't know what that is.
I can't wait to describe it. It's
when you throw burritos at your family members, obviously.
They used to call it domestic abuse.
That's true. Yeah. Hey now, it is like if it's a board game, a table game, and it's as if spoons met dodgeball. So you're passing around cards trying to make matches, and there are these two very soft plushy burritos that sit on the table purely for flavor's sake, and if you make a match of a certain kind of card, it initiates a little mini game of dodgeball in the middle of the game of cards.
Okay.
Or dodge burrito to be more precise. And there's different types, like there's like a versus where it's just the person on the left and the right of the person who played the cards. There's an all-out war where it's like everyone at the table's in. And then there is also a duel where two people like actually get up, go to another room, and square up to throw burritos at each other.
Do they take paces apart from one another and then turn around?
That is exactly it. Yes.
Oh my god.
Which inevitably turns into throws going wildly off target, and then the game continues and takes over the house, and you basically just play dodgeball with the burritos in the house until someone gets hit. And then sit back down. The loser takes a bruise. I think the burrito bruise token or whatever. It's worth -1 point when you count up points at the end, and you jump right back into playing the card game. So
who are the snipers in the family?
Not me. Surprisingly, I lost pretty much every duel I got into.
Even against Barrett?
Oh, Barrett, yeah, Barrett was in bed at this point. Lucky for him, because I did not hold back. I did not pull any burritos, and in fact, the first time one of the boys laid down a burrito brawl or whatever it is, I think they were very surprised at how quickly I just like smack. Got him from across the table. You learned fast. We had a great the duels in particular go long. Like it turns into this 5-minute game where someone throws and kind of doesn't have a burrito now, and so they hide, or you're kind of hunting them, or they're the other person is guarding the burrito. So. At one point, I scared Milo so bad he got a cramp when I charged him.
Oh God!
A card game with trauma.
The amount of screaming was almost equal to the howls of laughter. And I promise you they were laughing too. It wasn't all the kids screaming and all of me laughing.
Okay.
Might have been mostly that way, but I'm pretty sure I heard them laugh
Technically
at some
correct.
point as they lost their sanity.
Yeah.
No, it was a great time. And so I've still got the adrenaline pumping from playing dodgeball right before I came here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my sneaking the grind into the store.
Yeah. Seems like a great way to break a bunch of stuff around your house.
Nothing was broken, and I couldn't believe it. You're absolutely right, but
yeah, I'm not worried about the the burrito things that you throw. Those seem like fine, seem soft. I'm just worried about the kids because a little kid doesn't have a sense of proportionality.
Oh no.
So if they sense it coming at them, they're going to take a dive, even if it is straight through just 2 French doors.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is you went through all this and you don't know what you've broken.
Not yet. I had to come down and podcast, so I do feel a draft that I didn't before. We'll see how that goes. No, final anecdote from that to the kid diving. Luke had socks on and was on the wooden floor and did not compute when he tried to dive out of the way how that would go. So just did an awkward layout in place kind of deal.
You got to learn sometime.
It's like, have you seen the video of the cat that tries to jump and just completely beefs it?
Oh yeah,
that was him.
Yeah. No, that's psych wards have it right with the grippy socks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I think he'll come prepared with the socks from the trampoline park next time.
Yeah. Well, that sounds fun. Moxie, how about you?
Not a whole lot, honestly. I'm just getting ready for the holidays.
Cool. Yeah. Anything special planned?
Nope, we're doing a orphan Christmas. So just people that aren't going and visiting family, we get together and do a potluck. So I still need to figure out what I'm going to make. Last year I made angel Christmas cookies, except that they were biblically accurate angel Christmas cookies.
Nice.
Isn't that just a pizzelle?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, yeah. How did you accomplish that? How did you get them to hold together, or was it just frosted in a very fun way?
No, it was just circular cookies that I got one of those squeezy things to draw.
Yeah.
And then just drew so many eyes.
Nice.
That's a very good idea.
I'm trying to think, what is the least Christmassy dish that you could bring?
Pumpkin pie.
Hot dogs.
Hot dogs.
I feel like lemonade.
Yeah.
Lemonade. That's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, but at that point you roll around to Christmas in July, which is a weird portal.
Oh,
It's
damn.
it's basically, what is it, castling in chess?
But that's like a one-way portal, you know.
Oh.
I'm still
Have you
can't
ever
get
tried?
my mind. Yeah. I can't get my mind around the fact that apparently most of the U.S. has macaroni and cheese for Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, we've done that for years. Yeah. No, it's not I mean, it's special mac and cheese. Usually it's got the well, I'm a little bit upset. Previous to my nephews getting picky about it, it had the nice buttery breadcrumbs on top. But now it doesn't. But it's fancier. It's fancier mac and cheese than you would normally have. So
Nice.
No,
Yeah.
what I'm debating doing, I'd have to track it down sometime, but there is a YouTube channel that all the dude does is cooking tutorials that are how to make all of the dishes you see the characters cook on Chainsaw Man.
But okay, is that Binging with Babish? Is that the guy? Is it a whole channel that does that, or is it like a guy who generally does here's making a dish from a show?
I'm not
here's
sure.
how to do
I know this
Yeah.
person has done a bunch of them.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the best part is so I watch subtitles and like Japanese it's just complete babble to me. So is it Akai? I actually don't know how any of the characters' names are pronounced.
I
The
can't.
samurai dude. Well, it's just funny because you have anything from the samurai dude that's supposed to be a good cook, so they're all like legitimate recipes, to like anything that Power made, which is just like,
Oh yeah.
what if we pour sugar on it?
Uh huh. Yeah, and oh gosh, Denji's struggle meals. Yeah.
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 So there's a variety, but anyways, I am very much tempted to make something from that.
Yeah. Cool. Ben, how about you?
Well, since Dennis already snuck board games in, I'm going to try and do the same. I got another group of people to play board games with this last week, and so my friends on the other side of Cap Hill decided that they wanted to start trying to dip their toes into board games, and so I brought them Above and Below, which is the game by the same person who did Sleeping Gods, the game that Dennis is playing with his family right now.
What game was this?
It's called Above and Below.
Above and
It's
Below.
like-
Okay.
The main component of it is there's this like D&D-esque book where you have like encounters where it's like, here's the setup, you have one of two choices, like which one are you going to pick? Like rob the old man or to pass this check to do that, or like help him out and, you know, like take him back to town, and like there's a check to do that. And so you just pick one of those. But yeah, but it's a good board game and it's really great for beginners, I think. And so I think they had a good time. So this might be a weekly thing, fingers crossed. So
Hey.
yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, anytime you can get more tabletop in.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well, I think we should talk about video games since we're championing the bit to talk about games so much. We can do a regular kind of show, what with the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And why don't we get started with
The grind.
The Grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the last period of time or so. Who has something new?
I have two new things.
You have two new things.
Whoa.
Okay, Ben.
All right. Yeah, trump card. All right. The first one's semi-new, so I kind of tricked you. The first one that I've been playing is Resident Evil 4 VR, which just came out this past week.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That counts. That counts.
No,
You're the only-
no, I beg to differ because now that would even us up if we don't count that. So
Do we have like, it gets like half points, right? I got like one and a half new things.
So if this is as different if the experience of playing this is as different to the RE4 remake as the Resident Evil 4 VR on Quest is, then this actually does count. Like it is a like weirdly, it feels like a different game.
A very redefined experience.
Yes, yeah, that's a much more eloquent way to put it.
And this one, I don't know how to find my shotgun.
Yeah, no, it's over your shoulder sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I haven't tried that.
Yes.
Yeah, no. So I'll briefly talk about this one. I haven't gotten too far. I've just gotten to like past the church bells like intro section and into like the farm area with the cows and stuff. Um, it definitely changes the experience. You are way more immersed in it. There's way more impact to making the choice of like running into a house of like a close quarters or something like that. Um, the biggest difference so far is, man, are knives a lot of fun and very valuable in the VR version, and they are hot garbage in the regular version. And that's
Yeah.
because
Wait,
you can
isn't that like when I played it? That's literally almost all I use. Like cap
knives.
them in the kneecap and then slash them with the knife.
It's
Yeah.
it's the difference. So, are you talking about the remake, or are you talking about the original?
No, the original. Did the remake ruin the game?
No,
So
no. So you can still do it, but the knives have durability
mhm.
in order to balance it out.
And so you get like a huge amount of knives that'll break apart after like, I don't know, like 10 or 20 uses. And so you have like, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them in your stock at a time until you start having to like sell them because they're just taking up space. But eventually you get a sweet knife that doesn't break as much like in any other game of that genre. Um, but in this one, it's completely different. In VR, it's completely different because you can wave your knife hand around like violently and just kill anything that comes near you, and it is fantastic. And I just broke my first knife, and I'm knifeless right now, and it's makes me very
Suspect
sad.
is
Still naked.
knifeless. Repeat,
Yeah,
knifeless.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I just have the handgun. The reload animations are interesting. They're bespoke for each of the weapons. So like in a handgun, I've seen this sort of reload before where it's like you press one of the buttons to empty the clip, and then you have to reach and pick a clip out of the ammo bag and then like jam it in the bottom and then pull the top or whatever to reload it.
Yeah.
Wait,
You
that's
hit the slide.
literally just how you reload a pistol.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
so it's funny that you call that animation. Like, is it a button that you press and then Leon's hands just do that, or is it you actually enacting? Okay, I press the button to drop the mag, then I grab the clip, put it in, and then rack the slide.
Yeah,
Like, are you
you're doing
okay?
it yourself. It's not like an animation.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's
my
kind of the standard VR shooting way of doing it.
Yeah, and then like likewise with the shotgun, you have to put a single bullet in the where a bullet would be loaded in like the double barrel shotgun, and then pump it to reload it.
Hmm.
And you
Yeah.
only need to put one bullet in, and it counts as like refilling it all the way. Is like a convention that they
Oh,
did,
Oh
just
wow.
because.
ruin it.
Well, it would not be fun if it were the other way. I think so.
Loading a pump action shotgun is a tedious process.
Yeah,
Not as tedious as like
That's
filling
what
a
makes
clip,
it
but-
interesting. You have to make sure to generate enough space between you and your opponent.
Yeah, yeah. It's just I mean, I've played VR games that that do it in both ways, and like it really does. Like in the standard Resident Evil 4 and RE4 VR, it's a longer reload time, but like the thing is, you can interrupt it.
Mhm.
You know,
yeah.
so like, okay, you've put 4 in, I need to fire, boom, you do it, and then you just have 3, and you need to restart the process of reloading it again. Like I can see how needing to repeat the motion of grabbing 6 shells out of your ammo bag. Like if it was actually like if it was your actual hands, you could just palm the shells and then load them in. Like there'd be an easy way to do it. When it has to be repetitive each shell, it could be way too much if you're also managing your movement in that. I could see that being an acceptable break of realism for fun or for ease of use. Yeah.
The other thing is reloading is just a way different process in VR than in the regular game. Because in the regular game, it's like you hit the button and then you can focus on like running away from people and stuff like that. You can't really do that in VR. Like you have to be doing both at the same time. So it's much more chaotic and much more kind of dread filling.
Are you
See-
so? Oh, good.
No, sorry.
Yeah. Does it default to analog stick movement, for lack of a better word, or does it default to teleport around?
Yeah, it's analog movement. I haven't checked to see if there's other options on that, but I haven't had too much of an issue with it as far as it being like floaty or anything like that. I think compared to like Village, where in like the opening you have to do like crawling around and stuff like that, and it's like, yeah, no thanks. This one hasn't had anything quite like that. There's a part where you need to duck down, but it's somewhat brief. So yeah, not really haven't had too many complaints with that as far as like getting nauseous or anything like that. More so, like, the issue is just that, like, it's more just the adapting to, like, the new challenge of, like, trying to run around as a person. Like, when someone grab... Oh, so good.
Situational awareness is such a thing. Like, and RE4 is very much a game about being situationally aware and adapting, you know? Yeah.
And, like, I'm pretty good at running away from zombies or, like, knowing how to stay out of their range in the regular game. I haven't got that down yet in the VR, because it's like, I got to the mini boss with, like, the cow's head in this one when you're going into, like, the farmhouse or whatever. And, I can run away from that person, but then, like, I ran into the arms of a zombie who wanted to full Nelson me and then get pitchforked by someone else. So
yeah,
that was, like, a little bit of a bummer, because it's like it felt like there was no way for me to escape, whereas at least in the game you kind of have a shot at, like, breaking free and getting out. So yeah, I don't know, but it is really interesting. It is much more immersive than playing, like, the regular game. So I definitely will keep going with it, I think. But if it gets too scary, I will definitely stop, because, like, thinking ahead, like, to some of the future ones, like, I don't know, like the one fountain room where there's a bunch of, like, chompers going around. It's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle that or not. So
yeah, or anything. It'd be really interesting to see how they handle the Novistadors, the invisible or the camouflage bugs.
Oh yeah.
Because like, I don't know, when it's 3D being projected onto 2D, those are hard to see. But if the warping is, you know, in a binocular 3D effect, I could almost see the camouflage being less effective.
Oh, is this like Predator camouflage?
Yeah. Or it's
more
more like
octopus.
Yeah, it's more like octopus is the way. So like, you'll just kind of see, they will almost look like big pieces of rubble or something like that. Like, they'll blend in as part of the scenery, not being like invisible, right?
Yeah, and then also, like, the Ashley segment, I imagine, will be pretty harrowing playing that. But
yes, it would probably be pretty intense.
Yeah. So who knows? And yeah, okay, so I need to look up how to get the shotgun. So I guess you reach over your shoulder and you can get it. Because it's like, I found out a way to map it to a quote-unquote quick button, but then I don't see where that is. So maybe I should talk about that real quick. It's like, the way you grab your items and stuff is, if you look down at your chest, there's like 4 different things there. It's like grenades on the top right, your gun on the bottom right, a knife on the top left, and then your ammo on the bottom left. And so it's kind of like, it's a lot.
Yeah. No, it's something that you're going to get used to,
Yeah.
You know, and like, like guns specifically. So oftentimes in VR, like, what will happen is, instead of having like the D-pad, like, you know, quick grab, you know, kind of thing, where just like in the game, you press up and there's your pistol or whatever. You assign different weapons to like either of your hips or either of your shoulders. And then you've got to like reach back and press the grab button over your shoulder to like grab like a long gun or a sniper or something like that.
Yeah, I guess the bummer. That's good.
I was just gonna say, man, I want to see more games do the inventory system from Max Payne 3.
I forget what that was.
You have 2 pistol holsters, so you can, you know, carry 2 guns. And, you know, use them. You can carry 1 gun, or a pistol one-handed, and hold a 2-handed gun in your other hand. But as soon as you draw the other pistol, you have to chuck the 2-handed gun. Anyway, sorry, never mind.
The one thing that they could improve in this is, like, there's no visual indicator if you have something like on your back or not. So, like,
yeah,
I guess once
like
you know,
a
you know.
spider or something, or like if you have a spider on your back or something.
No, like a shotgun on your back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like, you know, like when the La Plaga is, you know.
Maybe if you look over your shoulder, you can see it, possibly. I don't know. I don't know how Leon is modeled. It is a weird thing about playing a game in VR. You just kind of have to know.
You actually can't see over Leon's gigantic traps.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the real question to know how good this UI is does he have a heart tattoo on his pecs?
Ooh.
like trespasser.
Yep. I demand this is the only acceptable way to do health bars in VR.
Yes, I think I think you need to get one of the costumes where Leon is shirtless and look down and see. Yes.
Yeah, so that's been fun. Would recommend trying it out. It's a free download if you already own the Resident Evil 4 remake, for what it's worth.
And PSVR too.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the other thing that I have that's new is I played and beat the game Jusant. Does anyone know this one?
Jusant.
Bless you. What'd you play?
The new the climbing game made by Don't Nod, I believe.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a French studio, I think, based in Paris that made this game.
They did by Don't Nod, I mean Life is Strange and Vampire. Yeah.
Yep. So I think we talked about this game maybe on a news story like half a year ago. But yeah, this finally came out, and I guess there wasn't much news about it, or I guess I didn't see much hubbub about it coming out. But I figured I'd try it and see what it was like. And basically it's kind of like Journey, but not as pretty. But the climbing's more detailed, so it's like a little blend of like Death Stranding in there for climbing. Yeah, so it's kind of a weird note, and so I can see why maybe people haven't really talked about it a bunch, but the art style is very beautiful. The concept is very simple, much like Journey. It's the beginning of the game, there's cutscene, you go to a base of a mountain, you start climbing, and so more or less it seems like you're just going to climb the mountain to the top, and you're not really sure why, but some of the story starts unfolding.
Is your name Captain Kirk?
I think it's an unnamed protagonist.
I got that reference.
Wait, what? All right. But it's unnamed protagonist. He has a little buddy that's like this like jellyfish looking something that like is cute looking. I don't know why that's there, but I guess it's like striking like a fantasy sort of note. But the interesting thing about the aesthetic is you can tell just from the beginning is that it looks very Mad Max like the world that you're in. And there's basically wreckage of like ships everywhere, which is like leaning into this aesthetic that this used to be ocean wherever you are, or there's used to be a large body of water and it's no longer there.
Are you sure it's not just set in Australia?
It could be, I guess.
Yeah.
But the name Jusant is it means like ebb, but like for water to like fade back and recede, I guess.
You're not climbing a mountain, you're climbing like a giant pillar. Is what it looks like, yeah.
Yeah. And the game itself is split across maybe like 5 or 6 biomes that you're going through as you're climbing up this mountain. The story is kind of doled out through text messages and like letters between people, and varying degrees of interest there. Some of them you just kind of skip through and there's not too much there. And some of them are like heartfelt messages and kind of do some world building and stuff like that. But really kind of what you're playing this for is the climbing mechanics of the game, which are pretty interesting. It's a touch of like Shadow of the Colossus, where you kind of have a meter where as you're holding and climbing, it's going down. But a difference is you can stop at any point in time and it'll recharge. Like you can rest as you're holding onto the rocks. And then the other thing is there's a more complicated like belay system where you essentially have 4 belays that you can plug into the wall at any point in time. And when you do that, or like I say belay, but I mean, I guess like an anchor that you can plug into the wall.
A pinion?
And when you do that, that's like a place that you're kind of like saving your progress of the climb. And so if you fall down, since you're anchored in there, you can just start back from that wall. You kind of have this like hard minimum on the meter where it's like, even if you've drained everything, you have like this tiny bit that you can use at all points in time, which is enough for like a single like sort of jump if you want to use that. So you can kind of get by on that low tank if you need to. There's also some like other complexities to it where it's like your energy drains faster if you're in sunlight versus not. You can start doing like swinging on the wall. Essentially, like you can control going up and down when you've anchored. And so you can do like swinging motions along the wall and kind of solve puzzles that way. And the entire time that you're doing this, the controls for like just grabbing hand over hand is holding in each of the triggers and letting them go. So Yeah, there's this real tactile feel of just climbing up a mountain just by like it feels like you're emulating the process.
Hand by hand. Yeah.
Yeah. When I grip, you grip, we grip is kind of what happens. Yeah.
I got
that. But yeah, so I don't know if you're really into climbing, like this is definitely like a game you should probably check out because the climbing here has more depth than most climbing games, I guess. But that's all there is to the game. There's like not a lot beyond that. So you get climbing, but you only get climbing.
Seems like it's meant to be short, contemplative.
Yeah, and yeah, it's a very the art aesthetic is like it's very colorful and very like fantasy based, and like it doesn't really side on like realism at all. It's more expressive. The music's like nice and light and orchestral. So all that's good. And one thing that's kind of interesting is I decided to play this in VR, even though it's not a VR game, but just play like VR with like a flat screen or whatever. And that was really nice. Just like it helped you really like zone in to the game and like kind of like filter other things out. And so that kind of helped with like the meditative part of the game. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. But yeah, shrug. I don't know. I can see why people didn't like talk a whole lot about this game. It's kind of just an interesting little experiment. But yeah, hopefully like Death Stranding, hopefully they can use this into like whatever the next game they do is, and they have a great climbing engine now. So
like how granular is the climbing? Like are you like looking for like individual handholds, or is it more like you are like on a climbing texture and you just have to work your way up along the texture?
No, they map like individual things you can climb on. And so whether it's like, individual rocks that you can grab onto, or that sometimes they mix it up and there's like bugs, these rock bugs that are climbing on the wall and you can grab onto them, they move for a little bit, like that sort of thing. But yeah, the literal point that you're grabbing onto, like that's kind of what you're controlling where your hand goes. So in the process of like pressing down on the trigger, you're also moving the joystick in the direction of where you want to grab. And navigate it that way. And so there's a little bit of like routing with it where it's like when you look at a wall, there might be like two different ways you can go. So you have to kind of look ahead and be like, okay, this is a dead end, but if I go this way, I can get around and get up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Just, I don't know that I have any other questions about that. It seems neat.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Cool. RE4R VR.
A lot of letters in that, yeah.
and Jusant.
Jusant. I love that you played the one game that has a harder to pronounce name, or at least acronym, than Jusant.
Jusant seems fine. I knew exactly how to say that when I saw it.
Sounds very German.
Sounds French to me, just because of where the company's from.
I don't know. It sounds like something that someone would yell at me while I'm playing Wolfenstein.
Oh yeah. Dennis, it sounded like you had new stuff as well. So I'll throw it to you. Yeah.
Very new stuff in early access. A game called Hawked. Like I hawked it at a pawn shop. Hawked.
Okay.
It is all in caps. I didn't just accidentally hit caps lock when I typed it into our notes. And this is a extraction shooter, but it's got kind of Borderlands-y vibes to it. The story is that you are a mercenary that's been brought in by this mega corporation. There is an ancient island that's been discovered that has all these artifacts from ancient humans on it. The island was overrun by these monsters who now are, stopping us from going and examining and extracting these relics to find out about our history. And so the first thing is like, man, they did some mental gymnastics to make sure this was not like a colonizer taking all the stuff story.
That's appreciated though.
Yeah. They clearly thought about it and it flows and makes sense. But it's really hard to escape that vibe when you've got a bunch of tribal-ish kind of themed monsters.
Also that. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, like they thought about it, they drew the line around it. But it's always in the back of your mind as you're playing it. But it does make the backbone for a fun game, and I feel very weird saying that.
Mm-hmm.
But you drop into this island, and the vault that has like valuable relics in it is protected by a password. You need to know the combination. And there are activities around the island that you can do that will give you a piece of that combination. You can usually see two options. Like the map will highlight the two closest options to you at any given time. And then once you do that, it'll disappear and show you the next two closest options, etc. You're doing things like doing kind of matching puzzles. Some of it is basically like aim trainer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Others is kind of combat with monsters and all that. So they do a pretty good job mixing it up. As you're doing that, you're also finding weapon chests and little additional trinkets. Eventually, someone is going to get enough of the code to go to kind of the big vault and open it up. At which point, everyone gets an alert. The vault is opening. The vault is opening. Everyone kind of scrambles for the location, and then it's this free for all to try to get the relic to an extraction point and be the one that leaves with it.
Okay.
Oh, so it's a psychopath simulator.
It is, yeah. Now, people will remember the cycle, at least the original iteration of it, I really liked. And this has that feel to it, except they don't even pretend like in the cycle you had the option to team up with someone. Mm-hmm. In this, it's like, no, you're not doing that. You can have pre-made teams of 3, or you can go in solo. Kind of the two modes they have right now. But there is no pretense about how you are competing with.
So
with the
it's
others
literally
on the
cycle if you took out the part that made the cycle unique and interesting.
I guess so, but no one that played the cycle, seriously is the wrong way to say it. But like, as you got better at the cycle, you got less and less interested in trying to team with random people. Mm-hmm. Either going in a squad or, very few people in solo would ever press that friendship button.
So yeah. I can intuit what you mean by extraction shooter, and also, from your description here. Like that is a term that I have heard, but I never heard it attached to another game before. Apparently they're popular. Like, what's another game that is, that like defines that mold or kind of uses it so I can like have something to grab onto here.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say Zero Seaver is a big one.
Okay.
What? I was going to say DMZ, the DMZ mode of Call of Duty.
Okay.
And then Escape from Tarkov is probably the one that really popularized the genre.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And basically all these when you hear extraction shooter, it's someone's take on Tarkov, essentially.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. This one probably is even a step further away from the traditional format where, if you die before extracting, you kind of lose all of the loot and stuff that you've built up over time. And so there's a very high premium on getting out safely.
Wait, that's literally what an extraction shooter is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe this is an objective-based battle royale. I don't know. You start from 0 every time, and I think there's some story about like the portal they're using to get you onto the island.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a battle royale-ish where the focus is on safely extracting with the stuff that you find rather than on being the last one standing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do safely extract, you just don't get anything?
You get all the trinkets. So there's relics, which are actually like higher value items that also you can then equip and give you special abilities. But once you've extracted it, you can't lose it if you take it in again. And then there are trinkets, which are basically currency, and you only take those out if you actually successfully extract. If you die on the island, you don't bring any of those with you. So really, like the main thing that makes it an extraction shooter is you can lose in-game currency, I guess, that you would otherwise extract with.
Mm-hmm.
What's the meta like? Do people like guard the vaults the entire time and not even go for the puzzles, or?
It's no, because you don't know, and this is where, so this is early access, and as people learn the map, I wonder if it will become more popular to just kind of wait around at the vault.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think because the trinkets are your main source of like in-game currency that you use to progress in the game, there is an incentive to just like go around and do stuff at least, even if you're not seriously contending to be the one to open the vault.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, people are playing the game as it seems the developer intends. In squad games, and I don't know if it's in solo games or not, there's also this like giant beast that will spawn on the map. It's like a caravan almost that has a giant mammoth at the head of it. And more like a bantha, actually, I would say, for my Star Wars fans out there. And if you successfully knock like the harness carrying thing off the back of the mammoth, there is an additional relic that you can extract with. So there are even some alternate ways. So 2 of those will spawn on the map. Then there's the one in the vault, and those 3, at least as far as I've seen, are what you can get on a map. But generally, you're not going to be able to get to both mammoths at once, or both caravans in one drop. And only if you play your cards really right, and are tolerating a ton of risk in continuing to fight with a relic in your hands already, are you going to be able to do a caravan and the central thing.
Mm-hmm.
Style is kind of, like I said, Borderlandsy, kind of more bright, cartoony. And then the movement is way more platformy than in most games. So you've got your run and roll and jump, etc., like you'd expect this is a third-person shooter. However, at pretty much every couple feet on the map, there is a yellow takeoff point that will allow you to vault or zip line or ride a rope or what have you. There are all these ways to kind of traverse in larger increments, that if you kind of start to know where to look for them, you can move around the map way quicker. And that's fun and interesting because it's used for getting point to point, but it's also used in combat in terms of being able to like grapple up to someone or quickly escape. So that's a fun little wrinkle that I haven't seen in other games, making this a little more platformy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that is Hawked. I've enjoyed my couple of drops. I played a little bit solo, a little bit with a squad of randoms, a little bit with some friends that I knew, and I'm intrigued. Ben, you raised my biggest fear, which is ultimately this island is a fixed map that people will learn. They'll know where all the shrines are. And even though the game only highlights certain shrines for you at a time, I'm imagining people are quickly going to figure out what spawn points are the best, and where the temples where the relic might actually be, and maybe go camp there or what have you. So that's I don't know what they'll do to keep the meta from evolving that way. That said, this is a game that will benefit exponentially more from having new maps introduced.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a lot of bespoke design for people to do. So we'll see if the devs are up for it. I'm trying to remember who's behind it. I remember it being a bigger...
It's called like My Games, I think, on Steam. The company.
Yeah. So it's definitely a polished experience.
Mm-hmm.
And have had very little in terms of jank so far with it.
I don't recognize anything else that they have done before. However, they have a bunch of games that they have done. So
the aesthetic kind of looks like Borderlands meets like Strange Brigade, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a bit of a Strange Brigade bent to it. It's funny. RoboQuest is a game that I'm playing a ton right now, but I've talked about it before. This aesthetic is very much RoboQuest.
Mm-hmm.
As well, down to having the little words of the sounds, the automatopoeia words, appear above weapons when they fire. Which I don't know, that does it for me. I've talked to some people that find it annoying, but it's extremely my jam.
Yeah, it's got like a comic thing too. Like particle effects have like a halftone kind of vibe to them, kind of look as well, or effect. Yeah.
So very fun, free to play, so worth checking out right now. And we'll see if it goes anywhere.
Hawked.
Hawked. Like a loogie.
Ugh,
Except
that
spelled
does-
as in hawking something at the pawn shop.
Yeah.
So that's Hawked. Like I said, I've continued to play RoboQuest. I beat the game on the standard difficulty. I jacked it up to their like New Game Plus-ish difficulty. And just enjoying the hell out of it. Like, it's a game that just feels good to play. I've hit a bit of a wall in terms of progression. So this is a roguelite AFPS, I guess, is the short version. And as you find certain secret areas, you find crystals that if you then take them back to your base, and if you activate them, they make the run more difficult, but then the final area they make it easier.
Oh,
so it's kind
okay.
of a risk reward thing.
Oh, that's that's a very strange thing to do to the curve.
Yeah. Now I think it's like the first time you get to the final area, which is on the moon, by the way. That's
Okay.
awesome. It feels just impossible. It's like I can't survive for a second here. And so as you get more competent running through the levels leading up to that, making them more difficult to make the moon more survivable makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
I imagine at a certain point, you'll be able to be like, okay, no, I want everything to stay hard, no matter what, as you get to the further New Game Plus stuff. But the reason I've kind of hit a wall is I've cornered myself. The last gem that I have to unlock is behind a very difficult boss fight.
Okay.
And in the limited information out there and talking to people in the Discord, whatever, most people kind of find their way to that boss fight early on. It's a very difficult boss, but they do it, they get the gem, and then they go get the other gems. And so that is essentially the easiest form of that boss that they face. Whereas I am coming to it dead last.
Okay, after having that makes sense.
And that means that that boss seems way harder than even the final boss of the whole game. And I've just been stuck against that. So I fortunately do have the option to turn the difficulty back down. I can deactivate some of the crystals. I can also just change back to standard mode. It'll still be valid if I get the crystal that way. But had to grit my teeth to do that. And then found out, no, the boss is still really incredibly difficult.
Right.
Grinding my way to try to get that final crystal right now. And then we'll start going for the final full run, not through that boss anymore.
Is that boss like deep into the game? Like, how quickly can you iterate on it?
It's in the third kind of set of areas, I guess. So you have to go through 3 areas to get to it.
Third biome. Yeah.
Yeah. Third. Thank you. Yeah. Biome's a great word for it. And I can blow through the first area in like literally under 3 minutes. Second area in under 5. And then it takes a little bit longer to get through the third to the boss fight. But yeah, I'm also finding that I die as often leading up to the boss fight as in the boss fight.
Oh, okay.
And there's that element of frustration where it's like, okay, this is familiar territory. I've got my mind on the boss. I'm not thinking about making smart decisions leading up to it because all these peons aren't the problem, and then they totally are the problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've gotten most of the weapons upgraded. You get a card for a weapon after you use it a certain amount, and then that makes it cheaper to upgrade the weapon, and up to a certain rarity, it makes it free to re-roll kind of the perks, the affixes that go on the weapon, and that makes building builds, I guess, way more easy to do because as long as you find a weapon that is in the range of what you want, and at that kind of mid-tier of rarity, you can go and endlessly re-roll to get exactly the perks on it that you want. And that is a nice little extra, but something like making sure it does elemental damage in an elemental focus build or what have you, can make all the difference.
Although that kind of seems like poor interface design in terms of like, then just let me choose what I want instead of sitting there for an hour re-rolling.
Yeah, that would speed things up. I think there's an element to where none of the affixes are that broken that they are a requirement. So, and then the pool of them is not so large that it takes incredibly long to get to. But yeah, I still would love to have like a drop down menu or something. But yeah, that's the game just came out recently, so maybe they'll patch that and make that different. It also, it keeps consistency for when you have the higher rarity weapons that do cost to re-roll their attributes. You're not suddenly doing a different thing than with the lower tier weapons.
No.
But yeah, that's the big stuff I've been playing. In addition, obviously, to Duckstream stuff, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Anything stick out to you?
I mean, Lethal Company. I imagine we'll spend a good amount of time talking about it. I was going to let Ben intro to that one, but yeah.
Yeah, Ben's already done his games.
Oh snap! I'm in a different planet right now.
Yeah. No, interested. So if you want to talk about that, you can. I was really bummed out that we had the bugs that we did with when Jala was on.
Yeah.
We experienced the same bug later, like after this, like me and Dennis played a game and I couldn't see his friend, but we played again and it wasn't there. So it's just very temperamental, I guess.
I mean, effectively a solo dev trying to scale up this massive thing that's still in early access. It's totally understandable. It just sucks that it created the frustration that it did. But yeah, I mean, so we don't have to like give like a description of Lethal Company. You're going into hostile places. It's janky. That was a really good time, and I could really see playing more of that being very fun.
Yeah.
It was the most fun I've had kind of giving into the role play of being panicked. Because I mean, to some degree, I'm still laughing and having fun, but there is that genuine seed of like, holy shit, something knee height and shadowy is running at me. So that was a lot of fun. And then on the audio front, it made me crave for this game, and then do it for any game, just a Discord plugin that lets you do that kind of spatial audio, where since your mic sounds different based on where you are in relation to the people, distance wise and position wise. I found it incredible when I was watching you play, Kole. I was watching through Twitch and through headphones, and I was getting the spatial audio.
Yep.
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, so if it kind of happens by default on Twitch, it has to be something that you can do through a Discord plugin. And anyone who knows programming is probably like, you idiot right now.
Well, I mean, so like it needs to know the positioning, and for that it just needs to be in game, which is fine. Something that you're describing, like I think Clubhouse used to have something like that weird social app that was a thing for like 2 weeks and then went away. I think that it just needs to be in the game because that's where the positioning data comes from, and then it's just running it as like stereo, positional stereo. Yeah.
Well, like Discord has the button to stream your game, and I wonder if that would do the same. Positional audio.
I mean, it would be from the person streaming it. Like, I don't know. What they need is just for the in-game chat to be more to become more reliable than it ultimately ended up being. There's no reason that you would have to use a secondary thing. But that is such a huge part of the appeal. Is the like, okay, well, where's Moxie at? Well, shit. Oh, well, let's go looking. And then when you go look, you do talk. Hey, hey, Moxie, you there? Can you hear me? Hey, yell back. And I mean, especially over the walkie-talkies. I'm not convinced it was very interesting streaming to watch, but I loved being the guy in the van. right?
Yeah. Oh, totally.
It's something that I've wanted. That is cool to me. The idea of being the coordinator, right? But just watching on the map and just switching all the cameras and giving the updates and relaying the information and just like, oh, they're making their way here. Like I can run out and help them. I can grab this. Oh, the bees are there. I got to grab this. Like just those little situations that come up out of that. Like I don't know. They built like this really cool little. Again, just like an engine for getting you to role play in the situation. Yeah.
I totally gave in to the desire to try to like jump scare a teammate early on playing. Like, boo! And that's the move that every character that dies in the horror story does.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
I love the moment where you see a red dot run at a person. You're like, oh wait, go this way, and then it's like you hear nothing back, and you're like, oh.
Yep, they're gone. We gotta go. And that is so important, right? And it's good that when you die, you are dumped into the death lobby. Where you can chat with the other person and talk about what went wrong. But like for the people who are left alive, and all you've got is silence, and then it's just like you have to make the decision. All right, did their walkie-talkie battery just run out? Like, are they there? And just based on the information that I have, like, okay, well, their body isn't moving and the monster's walking around them. We can probably, but you don't know.
And, well, I like how they have one method of interacting with you, which is calling the ship off early, as like press the button, get the fuck out of here type thing.
Yeah, man, yeah. I just I want to play that again very badly.
I would love to see some monsters that stalk you. I guess there's the blob, but I would love to see something between the blob and the immediately on you monsters, because I feel like that was.
I think the hoarders are kind of like that.
Is that right?
Yeah, they'll like want your objects, and if they'll like hang around with you, but then they'll work up some courage, and then they'll like attack you and try and steal your shit.
Oh, I don't know if I interacted with one of those.
Yeah, hoarding bugs.
Yeah.
They're very cute and tiny until they stand up upright, and then they're like 8 foot tall, and you're like, uh-oh.
There you are. Yeah. Oh, gosh. What a delightful little game. Yeah. Do you have anything else to us?
No, that's me.
Cool. Let's see. Moxie, how about you?
Not a whole lot. I've, let's see, still been playing Dave the Diver, so to give an idea of where I'm at, I just got the key to the glacier. However, I've not gotten there yet.
Gotcha. Where are you at in the restaurant situation?
I'm, I think, working on diamond level.
Okay. I don't know what that is. What have you had...
sorry, in terms of like, the ranking, I have 2 rankings to go.
Okay. Have you had any events at the restaurant recently?
Yeah, so Michael Bay has come to my restaurant and wants some food.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty much as dumb as it sounds, actually. Like, so yeah, which I think is what unlocks the farming mechanic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had the jellyfish holiday.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, it's a little weird. I know I unlocked night dives, although I see very little reason why I would ever do them.
Well, I mean, sometimes an older game needs to be remade, and you need a team that can...
Wah, 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 wah.
I'm glad somebody got it, so...
But yeah, because, the game seems like, I don't know, at least so far, it's been basically like, figure out the one recipe you're going to specialize in, and that's all people get.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What recipe is that for you?
Spotted jellyfish with sea grapes right now, and then Megamouth shark.
Okay. Nice.
So-
Doing a quick Google to see if sea grapes are real.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. I had no
See
idea.
these grapes?
That was a bit of a reach, Dennis.
That's what I'm here for. I'll take the risks that others won't.
Oh man.
But yeah. I'm still skeptical that anyone would actually want to eat a jellyfish, but
Kind of seems. What's left of it when you cook after you cook it?
I mean,
you
this
cook
is
it or do you
sushi, so
spread it?
maybe you don't cook it.
Oh, okay. Huh.
I still think the highlight of the game is definitely the animations on just like unlocking things and upgrading things and stuff like that. Just seeing the random characters do just completely over the top kind of like samurai movie or anime style sequences is pretty amazing.
Yeah,
But
agreed.
yeah. So that's why I'm with that. And then the other thing is I reinstalled Vampire Survivors.
Okay.
Oh,
So I'm working through that. I think I guess I technically beat the base game.
shrug. I don't know what the victory condition is, and they like make it to 30 minutes, or
Well, there's 5 basic base levels, and then the last level, if you like once you get to 30 minutes, everything goes weird. And then there's like a stage where basically you're set back to your basic items, and there's a strong enemy chasing you, and you just have to like run to the end of the stage as quickly as possible.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's I'm now basically trying to do all of the various unlocks. There's what you unlock with that is basically the ability to kill the Reaper that attacks you at 30 minutes.
okay.
But that's where, for me, the mechanism is a little bit breaking down, because basically, in order to do that, you have to get 2 items, like maxed out in the run, and basically, it's getting to the point where, in order to make that happen, you have to have very specific items that you're building your loadout with.
Mm-hmm.
And by that point in the game, you've unlocked so much stuff that just seems very, very dependent on like whether you can do it is depending on what drops.
When you randomly have options of upgrading.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, that's a bummer if it becomes like samey and you're always picking the same upgrades.
Yeah. Part of the problem is that both of the items that you have to get the evolution on are defensive items. And
Which ones are they?
The upgraded Laurel, which is basically the shield,
Mhm.
and then the upgraded Clock, which is like freezes enemies.
Okay.
And so the problem is you're having to sacrifice a ton of offensive power to do it.
Mhm.
And so you need to have everything go perfectly with the rest of your items in order to be able to deal enough damage to like make it the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's been a little frustrating. But
I was
Go on.
going to say, I actually played this game this last week because my friends picked it up. Did you realize that you can play multiplayer on this now?
I have not. I'd be interested to see how that works. Do you have to be on the same screen?
Yeah. And so, yeah, if you're both going in like diagonal opposite directions, then you just won't go anywhere.
Yep.
That's so funny because like the enemy I mean, the enemy AI in all of these games is just run toward player. How does that? I mean, are they just running to player one, and player two has to navigate around that, or is it like splitting around it? Like it seems like a fundamental breach of the logic of this kind of game to me.
It's just run too closest player now.
Huh. Weird. So you can get separated. Huh.
But they have a lot of new characters too since they originally made this like a year and a half ago.
Oh yeah, they have so many new characters. They've branched out from like parodying Castlevania to parodying basically everything. So like the character one of the things you get is eventually you unlock the ability that if you get a character to level 50 in a run, you unlock one of the like major arcana cards from a tarot deck that are basically like run modifiers. And I'm currently working on unlocking the arcana for a character that is just straight up Bayonetta.
Okay.
Oh.
Which is kind of funny.
Yeah,
but
I imagine the game has changed quite a bit. Yeah, since even since I played it back around the launch of the Steam Deck, just because that seemed like a really, really good Steam Deck game. Is that how you're playing it, Moxie, on Steam Deck?
I'm actually playing it on Mac just because it was the only game before I got my Steam Deck that like would run on it.
Okay, yeah.
Oh no.
But as a side note, I am open to suggestions on things that run on Steam Deck because so far it's been a little quirky.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff.
Slay the Spire. That's all you need.
Oh gosh, put on the spot. It's hard to it's hard to say. Yeah. Anything else besides
Nope.
Dave the Diver and Vampire the Survivors?
That's all I got.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. So for me, trying to think of so the new thing here for me is that I tried out the new Fortnite mode festival.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of years back, Epic / Fortnite or whatever studio, I don't know, just Epic the blobbed Harmonix. Okay. They bought Harmonix, and that seemed like a very weird thing for them to do, buying a studio that previously, just specialized entirely in rhythm games. First Guitar Hero, they made that, and then Rock Band, Dance Central, all this kind of stuff. It didn't seem like a very natural fit for them to do. And it seems like this is the fruit of that. So the elevator pitch version of this is that Fortnite Festival it's in Fortnite. Like you load it through Fortnite as like the launcher or whatever. And like the lobby has you running around as your Fortnite character or whatever. But the actual game mode is you are going in and you are playing Rock Band, or more appropriately, you are playing, what is it? Frequency or amplitude. Which is some similar idea. You've got the notes coming at you down a note highway, right? Except in this one, in amplitude and frequency, you went across all of the tracks that you had. In this one, since this is multiplayer, each of you picks an instrument. However, there's nothing stopping you from playing the same instrument that somebody else is doing. The thing that makes this not so great to me, obviously I am not the target audience for it, but also it just seems like it is super early days. For somebody who has never played a full plastic peripheral rhythm game, like a Rock Band or a Guitar Hero, this will probably scratch an itch for them. Like it'll hit that. Sitting there and playing it either on a controller or on a keyboard, where on the keyboard you're just it's like D, F, J, and K for the 4 lines that are going there. To hit the 4 notes, or on the
which is barbaric.
Yeah,
I quickly went and went to the MOBA style QWER.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's pretty rough. Just playing it on the playing it on the keyboard. Sounds like you've played this, Dennis.
Yeah, I completely forgot because it was just in time I was doing stuff with my kids. So we've checked out
Yes.
all the new Fortnite modes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you're playing that. Also, like right now, there are like 8 songs, fully 4 of which I think are the weekends. So, and I think
Hope you like the weekend.
Yeah, and it's weekend's fine. They don't have blinding lights on there, which is weird to me. Maybe that would be paid DLC or whatever, just to get the weekend song that you know. Yeah, and then there's a couple of others, but it's all music that I don't necessarily not necessarily crazy about, but they're free, and I imagine it's going to rotate. That's fine. The other thing, there are songs that you can buy. Fuck figuring out how to buy anything in Fortnite. Like, okay, well I can see. Okay, well there's Seven Nation Army there. Like that's not a hard song, but it's a song I know. How do I grab that? And then I don't know. Can I play that with people? Like, does everybody need to own that? Like, also the cost is like $4.50 per song. That seems a little steep.
And now you've hit why Fortnite wanted to do a festival mode.
Yes. Yeah. So like
it's all the people who don't know any better about how much stuff should cost.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like went into it feeling really underwhelmed. The plastic instruments thing is apparently going to be solved. Like they're going to be shipping support for that. Who knows who is going to be selling those instruments or if they would even be worth buying, and eventually throwing into a landfill unless you're me and then you hold onto them forever.
I think I've got my Guitar Hero 3 guitar around here somewhere.
Yeah, I've got all of them, even the ones that don't work anymore. And I'm not sick, you're sick. Yeah, so like that's going to be solved, but the fact that it's like 4 lanes and when you're playing on the drum there's no like separate thing for the kick, so like that's just worked into the chart, and vocals isn't actually singing. Vocals is tapping along to the melody and the rhythm. It just kind of feels like a very compromised version of the height that I know these things can reach. So not to be somebody who walks into this, it is meant to be a game that is all things to all people, and say like you have no idea how good you could have it. Not to be like a snob about it or anything. I was very unimpressed with what I saw there. Yeah. Does that line up with how you feel, Dennis? And how do the kids feel about it?
They liked it the least out of all the new modes.
Okay.
And yeah, just generally felt, I don't know if you did anything with a group, but it was very confusing, like who from the group could choose what songs and all the controls for like setting up your song, your difficulty, your instrument, and then the song you were playing were all muddled up and just felt weird. And then
everything that isn't looking, moving, and shooting in Fortnite is a fucking mystery to me.
Yeah, it's not great.
From loading up to quitting it. Like it's just a nightmare. Yeah.
The kids were not impressed either.
It says there's a solo mode. I can't figure out how to do it. So like as I'm trying to figure stuff out, there are just these other jabronis there. It's
no.
No. So that doesn't feel great. And the fact that like, you play these 4 song sets, but there are 8 songs, so it's just the same every time. Like I don't know. This doesn't feel fully baked. I don't know that I would have revealed it at this point. But
especially without peripheral support.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine it is hard to make one of these USB, guitar controllers plug in. People do videos about, I played Fortnite with a guitar controller.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know why that was low on their list enough to launch without it.
No clue. But yeah, it was a real, I didn't have super high hopes for it, but hey, it's Harmonix. I like that studio. Hey, I
wish they were doing something more meaningful.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish that it wasn't something that like felt like it was going to fall to the bottom of a menu and then fall off. Like, I don't know. Fortnite as a launcher feels weird.
This just adds to the things I don't understand about Fortnite.
Yeah.
I will say the one cool thing they did is if you buy a song, you can use the tracks as emotes in any other mode.
Okay.
Or I guess specifically the Battle Royale mode. And so you can, as an emote, just play the entire bass line for whatever weekend song. I don't even remember what they had. But yeah, and like, if you're in a squad and you really wanted to commit to the bit, you could go to the soundstage on the map and just play a concert for everyone.
Cool.
And see if you get people to watch instead of shoot you.
Yeah, probably not, because it's literally just playing the MP3 of the song.
Yep. Yep. And also, like, how can you make sure that your video will get takedowned?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, one kind of entertaining thing, and that does, at least attempt to give a little bit of extra life to this thing that you're ridiculously overpaying for.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I was underwhelmed with everything as well.
Yeah. Cool. Glad I'm not alone there. I'll probably check back in. It's just, but also like the fact that it's probably going to be a rotating set of songs or whatever. Like, I don't know. I like having a library. Man, just
cool. Just ponying up $5 per song. Sounds great. We're on the same page.
Probably not. No, I've got, so, literally everything. I say that I want more of this. I say that I want another rhythm game that uses, peripherals or is in the Rock Band model, but literally nothing is as is as good as loading up Rock Band 4 with every song, pretty much every song I ever bought over the course of Rock Band 1 through 3, including the songs from Rock Band 1 through 3, and then using like the little wireless adapter that I paid way too much money for several years ago in order to play this. Yeah.
Have you considered asking your parents for money that you could spend in Fortnite, though?
That'd be very strange because they're on a fixed income, and yeah.
It's Christmas. You can rationalize it.
It is, yeah. So that's kind of the main new thing. Most of my other time has been spent like getting caught up / ahead on homework stuff. So just a bunch of Baldur's Gate and things like that. And then also like spare time has been the gaggle of VR games that I've talked about before. Like finish the campaign in Power Wash Simulator,
Nice.
which is neat. Yeah, that final job is real cool. But how much more can you talk about Power Wash Simulator? So the only other thing that I just want to like give a little bit more on from Duckstream. Play a lot of fun stuff during that, like the even the Half-Life 2 Chaos mod was fun when it wasn't just, hey, this effect that people voted on will stop you from progressing for a minute.
Walk to a random place.
Yeah.
Hang out and chat. It becomes just chatting.
Yeah. Just hang out, stay alive. It's fine. Those trees will go away eventually. What I finished the night on was Teardown. I had forgotten that Teardown released their part 2. That like
man,
the version of Teardown that I have in my head is only half of the game. So I've got a bunch of so I fired it up just thinking, hey, I'm going to kill some time. Then I realized, oh no, I'm a couple of missions into basically the second half of the campaign. And it was like the stuff that I played on stream was really fun. I wish that I could play more, but I just want to give that a heads up to people. I've been talking about Teardown for a while. The game where, it looks like a voxel destruction game, and it can be, right? Physics modeled, and you've got a bunch of tools and you go around and destroy things, but the actual missions themselves, it turns into a heist. It turns into a combination heist / like hitman, but for property crime. Yeah, you're stealing stuff. You've got to blow things up in a certain way. There are other things you have to accomplish and very little time in which to do it. So you have to plan things out meticulously. Like, it is what video games should be to me. It is one of the best games to release in the last 5 years.
High praise.
Since I talked about it, so like even back in early access, I think a lot of people might not know that there's a whole second half of the game for them. So this is your heads up, and stuff gets different and stuff gets weird. It adds like roving security robots to some missions that you have to figure out how to neutralize. There was one mission that I did on stream, which was at the mall, and you had like a satellite van that you had to get you had to get the dish on the back within like the proper distance to 4 different like satellite transmitters, but also line of sight, which involved a whole bunch of stuff, because it's not just like, okay, I blow a hole between these things, but it's also, well, there's a crane over there that I can use to pick up the van to make it higher. So it might be easier to blow the holes that I need to blow. And also figuring out like, oh, I can just blow some of these transmitters loose and then move them into the proper spot. And then, I figure out that last one on accident and succeed in the mission. By doing that.
When you say like blow holes and things, do you have like a rocket launcher or something?
You have a rocket launcher. You've got bombs you can plant. There are pipe bombs you can throw. You can blow holes with a shotgun. You've got a rifle. You've got pistol. There's you get a whole bunch of different tools, and you unlock them over the course of a long campaign, and you can upgrade them as well.
And are there like people you're fighting?
No, except for the missions in the second half where they add in some of the like security bots that you have to stealth around or figure out how to neutralize. No, like these are big, big empty areas that you're at like after hours of the business,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's not like a first person shooter combat kind of game. It is more like each of these individual things is a tool. That's in addition to like planks that you can use to like bridge gaps. And also like like bungee cord things. Effectively, it's a little bit like Just Cause, where you can connect two things, and like attach rocket launchers or rocket boosters onto one of them to make them go. This is in addition to being able to drive cars, vehicles, construction equipment, things like that. Yeah, Teardown fucking rules. I love Teardown so much.
It sounds like what Watch Dogs wanted to be.
Just not hacking. You're not doing any hacking.
Well, but I mean, you don't do that much in Watch Dogs either. So.
In Watch Dogs, you're effectively a wizard.
Sounds like you're a wizard in this.
Yeah, well, you're just a wizard of destruction, which I guess is just an evocationist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Save it for the other podcast, Kole.
So this is just a PSA. Teardown fucking rules. There's more of it, and you should go play it.
Sweet.
Yeah. And that sounds like a segment.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer. Dennis, what is the question that you asked the nice people?
Yeah, I wanted to know about games you play with your brain, or rather in your brain. Technically, you do everything in your brain, but here we are. What game do you find yourself playing in your head when you are away from it? And bonus points if you've ever played it in your dreams.
Yeah. Sean writes, only really Souls-like games if I'm stuck on a boss and have had to come away from the game. I keep thinking about their movesets and what I need to try next to defeat them. Mm-hmm. So that's funny, because such a big part of the fighting a boss in Souls is the order in which they do the moves and rolling against the RNG. So like, man, how do you do that? Huh? I'm trying.
So for me, at least, like I do a lot of change up what weapons I use for different bosses, for like what their weaknesses are, whether they are a boss that has small openings or big openings, things like that.
Oh, I meant in your mind. That's
okay. What I'm doing is like playing through in my mind to be like, all right, what is the optimal strategy for this?
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and maybe this is one of those things. Maybe I have a very, very specific kind of aphantasia for this. Yeah. Don't read about aphantasia; it'll fuck you up.
That's that one Disney movie with all the music, right?
Yeah. It's all the music, and then you can't envision any of it after you've seen it. Yeah. Let's see here, Ben. What does Peter say?
Peter says, considering I've missed several multiplayers in a row, this is going to sound like an odd answer. I've regularly mentally played through Rogue Galaxy many times over the years. Maybe because of how often I've played the game, but with how extensive the content is, and I always end up coming back to it. Also, the only time I've dreamt about the game was more along the lines of where could the game go next, or what would a sequel look like?
I'm sorry, I laughed. I laughed at this. This is the only context in which I hear about Rogue Galaxy. For a second there, this felt like performance art. I do not doubt your sincere love of this game, but that was my knee-jerk reaction and why I said Peter.
I was immediately self-conscious that it was pronounced Rouge Galaxy and I was messing it up.
Oh. Now I want to play Rouge Galaxy. Damn it!
Yeah, that's an aisle at Sephora. Yeah. Moxie, what's Ollie say?
Ollie says, I've mentally played through sections of platformers in my head a good few times. Games like Rayman, Mega Man, Metroid, or more recently, Celeste. I've thought about certain sections and made plans on how to get through them. It's a great way to focus the mind. The only game I think I've ever had a legit dream about playing was Metal Gear Solid 2. That was in the 2010s, and after I woke up, I decided to do a playthrough for the first time since probably 2002. It was great, no matter what Gary Butterfield would have you believe.
Crosspod shade, oh no.
Oh, it's fine, it happens. You wouldn't believe what he says about y'all. No, he has nothing but kind things to say. No, yeah, I can see that. I mean, the top-down, maybe that might be an answer for me. Metal Gear, yeah, not so much in a dream, but just conceiving of a space as a Metal Gear level.
I mean, Metal Gear is the game where even if you're playing the game, it may or may not be in a dream. Or
simulation, effectively the same thing. Dennis, what does Greg say?
Greg says, it seems any recent game that I spend a lot of time on are games that I'm thinking about when not playing it, including how can I play it better. Recent examples are the Persona games, Yakuza 0, and Civilization. XCOM games are also great for this.
Oh, Moxie, Yakuza 0 runs great on the deck.
Oh, okay.
Hey, nice.
Yeah. I imagine all of those would work well on deck, actually. Yeah, XCOM would be another one.
I haven't played XCOM 2, I think.
Yeah, that runs.
My favorite game, with the War of the Chosen DLC.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
it's installed because I like mandatory have it installed on all my machines, but I haven't played it on the deck yet.
You never want to wait. Yeah, yeah. I could see all of those working. David says, I think the ultimate answer here is Tetris. I skipped right over that because, of course, you know.
What game other than Tetris are you playing most in your head while you're away from it? That's good. Yeah,
Tetris, which has a psychological phenomenon named after it. Yeah. Let's see. Ben, what does Callum say?
Callum says, if a game is even remotely engaging, I do this. So most games I play. It's easier to think of games I don't. Most straightforward shooters I don't do this with, for example. I never did it with the Gears of War games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When everything's a gray corridor, it's hard to really bring that with you.
Mm-hmm. Moxie, what's Jeremy say?
Jeremy says, any Souls-like I'm playing at the moment will do. Usually thinking about my build or the lore. Currently Liza P. Weird and fun. Finally someone else than FromSoft that is doing a proper Souls-like.
Mm-hmm. Second one in the Souls-like column.
And I need to get back to Liza P.
Mm-hmm. I believe that's deck compatible as well.
I heard that Liza P, like an old girlfriend.
Oh, Liza P. Grab your ukulele, sing a song about Liza P. Let's see. Dennis, what does David say?
David says World of Warcraft for sure, but most recently Baldur's Gate 3. Some of those fights I had to reload saves so much, I think they scarred me for life.
God.
No one's touched honor mode yet, right?
No, I haven't. Not on that one yet.
Quaking in my boots.
What is honor mode?
Iron Man for Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, it gets rid of save scumming.
That just sounds like, what if I played this game in the worst possible way to play this game?
Hey, different strokes.
I've got a buddy that literally was doing that before the mode launched. We were talking about it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you got to go here, here, here in Act 1." I'm like, "Man, you really are familiar." He's like, "Well, every time my character dies, I roll up a new one."
Nice.
I'm like,
Yeah.
"What?"
I think Baldur's Gate 3 is a very good video game. Yeah. I'm gonna finish out here with Random Sum, who says, most recently, I think I did some, most recently, I think I had done some truly amazing aerial shots in Rocket League Imagination Land. I used to love doing endless combos using manuals and reverts in imaginary Tony Hawk 3 maps. But what I definitely had maddening dreams of was nitrous oxide on the PlayStation 1. Flying alongside a never-ending kaleidoscopic
nitrous will
tube.
do that to you.
Yeah, it'll make everything go wah, 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 wah. So, flying along inside a never-ending kaleidoscopic tube, firing at each blur that entered my vision. Fortunately, I was into that kind of thing back in high school. Nitrous oxide PSX.
I'm looking it up right now. I've never heard that before.
Oh, so it looks kind of like a 3D take on Tempest, is what that looks like.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The Shakespearean play?
Yep.
No, the Vector arcade game. Sorry,
man.
I didn't one up you on that, or yes, and you on that.
Nope, no problem.
For me, my answer is going to be I'm real one note about this, but Rock Band Guitar Hero. Like, it is not impossible, but I will very naturally find myself visualizing the note charts for a song that I'm listening to.
Totally.
Yeah, especially if I'm driving while I'm listening to to it. I've got the highway there right in front of me. But even when I'm not, this happens when I'm swimming and listening to music as well. And then, oh gosh, something that I do to fall asleep is in my mind walk through familiar places. So like in my head is, just imagine like, oh, I'm just going to walk around this old house that, that I used to live in, or like, oh, I'm going to walk around this old school but I used to go to, right? Like, oh, here's spooky old Ontario Middle School, and just like, oh, what was down that hallway, right? Like I just do that. And that also includes like familiar areas from EverQuest.
Oh yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, I can walk around imaginary Freeport, and here's the Eastern and Western Common Lands.
Well, I feel like for people who haven't played this, it's very relevant to point out that the two big things are, one, this was a game that was before game developers realized like, hey, we should make instead of making things realistic, we should make them easy to navigate and get around in. Mm-hmm. And two, this was a game that was like 10 years old before it got an in-game map.
Yeah, it wasn't, or I mean, not necessarily 10 years old, I think. What was it? Oh gosh.
It was the frog one.
Yeah, it was the update right before Lost Dungeons of Norath. So that would have been 2005. Is what it would have been. So 6 years old, but still like way too much. So like you definitely like you either had to, and I still have like printouts of these maps from like alakazam.com or whatever. Oh, sure. Yeah, like the proto wiki for these. But like you had to like download the maps and then just really internalize these spaces before there was anything approaching an in-game mapping system to reference.
Especially if you like pissed off one of the factions in an important city, so now you still have to get in. You just have to get in through the sewers.
Yep.
Ha. Oh man.
Yeah. So those are my two answers. Like my answers to everything. If it's not Disco Elysium or Pathologic, then it is going to be Rock Band or it's going to be EverQuest because I'm a cartoon.
That's hilarious. I just love the idea that any song you listen to that has like a really heavy and rapid chord section, you reflexively jerk your hand into the air.
I'm not doing it physically. It's just I envision it like that. But yeah.
Oh, but it's such a juicy spot for star power.
Yeah, true. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Ben, how about you?
So for me, it's like a cop-out answer, but I would say Dr. Mario, which is like so close to the Tetris effect, but it's step removed.
Not technically.
Yeah. It's but yeah, it's more the color matching kind of thing. So is that just something that you play fully mentally, or are you like doing color matching based on things that you see? Yeah.
This is something that will happen in my dreams. I don't do this for fun.
It's actually what he does when he's pretending to be a doctor. Like, turns out if you wear a lab jacket and walk into a hospital, people totally believe you.
Yeah, if you're a masculine appearing white man and you carry a clipboard, people let you go fucking anywhere.
Oh, that section from Barbie was painfully hilarious.
I've never seen Barbie. Is that a joke from that?
Him walking into a hospital and just assuming he should be able to go anywhere as the doctor. Yeah.
Ah, gotcha.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Moxie, how about you?
This isn't going to be surprising. I feel like this is the multiplayer question that's just like, what is the most stereotypical game for you? So for me, it is Warframe. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of
those levels are procedurally generated, though, right? So.
Oh yeah, but they're all about learning to recognize where you can do like ninja flips in order to get up things, and a lot of the later levels are just very, very complicated and have a lot of finding like secret passages and stuff. So you have to very much learn how the architecture works so that you can intuit where things are likely to be hidden.
Got it. Yeah.
This sounds similar to an answer that I was about to give before I thought of the two more relevant ones, but sometimes I will conceive of spaces as Tony Hawk levels. Like I will just say like, oh yeah, that would be like that would be like just a really awesome line to take, right? This sounds very similar to that.
Oh, I would that was going to be mine, at least in terms of kind of playing in your head. Walking around and thinking of spaces that way, or even like driving, and the spaces between driveways as you're going down the road all become half pipes. Like, oh yeah.
Oh, so for me, when I'm driving, it's just when I'm stuck behind someone going 500 the speed limit, and I'm like, dude, I wish I had a star. No, do you get nervous if you're out walking somewhere in public and like notice there's a lot of waist high walls?
No, that would stand to reason, but no.
Oh, this is literally how I would rationalize being afraid of monsters when I was a kid. Was like, okay, if a monster shows up, I will also suddenly be equipped with like the video game weapons to deal with it.
Okay, yes.
Oh, that seems legit.
They would, wouldn't give you a challenge you couldn't meet. Yeah.
Right, of course. If we're defying reality in that way, why not in the other way?
Okay, so this was before you had played a FromSoft game.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. What was that your answer, Dennis? The Tony Hawk one?
At least for when I'm lucid, on the dream front, and some of what led to this question, I'm playing RoboQuest a ton right now, and if you take an item called the shovel, you can like spot these little yellow marks on the ground and dig up an extra item. And it's only I usually only do it for the first area of a run, and then I trade out the shovel for something more relevant. But that frantic, like I'm trying to go quickly through the level because you're rated on time, but you're also like scanning for a little yellow spot to dig. I literally had a dream about that earlier in the week where I was like navigating through a real life space, trying to find the spots I should use the shovel. So
yeah,
it gets in your head, man.
Nice. Well, that was a fun one. Thanks for posting it, Dennis, and thanks folks for responding. If you have any, or if you would like to participate in these, watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons in the Duckfeed community group on Facebook. Oh, sorry, there was a little pause there. We should say, also watch Facebook and the usual channels because voting for title of the year is going to go up. We're not going to, and voting is going to last. We're not going to announce that until, or the winner until the beginning of next year. That's my fault because in preparing for Duckstream, I forgot to do this. I forgot to compile the list, so hopefully people will understand what is more important between those two things.
Yes, indeed.
Yes,
And
so.
that means that this title, whatever it is, could potentially be in the running.
Potentially.
How are we going to gate this?
I know. I might not include this one because there is so much recency bias already. Yeah. I may end up not doing that. So, yeah.
That's right. And there was kind of a natural break because of Duckstream. So
Yeah.
it'll
make sense.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about the game, not the games. We're talking about things that are happening in the world of video games and how we feel about them. Let's see. I've got one that is I don't know, kind of a big story in terms of what happens when a developer or publisher goes away, and also what happens if that developer didn't seem to be on the up and up to begin with.
This one.
Yeah. You don't like to kick a studio while they're down, but this just seems ridiculous to me. So there's a studio.
What about a studio while they're running away with your money?
Yeah. Well, they've got the bag, and they're so the studio Fntastic, FN and then Teardown. They have made a few games. The one you probably know is Prop Night. Which is a prop hunt game,
Nope.
I think. No, I had heard of that one before. It's just a multiplayer prop hunt game. But anyway, the game that they have been hyping up and selling people the moon about. I don't know if that's they've been making big promises about it, calling it a fully open world zombie survival MMO, a game called The Day Before. This game launched and just got torpedoed in the reviews.
And we should say this was like one of the most wish-listed games of all time on Steam or something.
Yes, although I have nothing to base this on. I've got no idea how legitimate those numbers are.
Sure.
Based on other business practices. That is speculation. But
And let's also not glaze over. There was kind of worry about the game's legitimacy before it launched.
yeah, specifically around like asset packs and how similar it looked to not necessarily asset flip kind of stuff, because that has a very particular context, and also legitimate games can use purchased assets. Not trying to throw on that, but it was like very specifically like just not a lot of like very convincing or good screenshots shown of the actual game. It released and got
also generally good games pay the people that make them.
Also that, yeah. So it released. The game got torpedoed with terrible reviews, which could just be a bad launch. Also could be review bombing. Any number of things. It's just something that we accept, rightly or wrongly, that games are going to get better as developers continue to work on them. Except in this case, because 1 week after this game was launched, and got enough. Oh man, I think it's sold enough to get like 18,000 something reviews at $40 a piece. Okay, the studio, this Fntastic Studio, the studio, Fntastic. I want to call them a fantastic studio. They announced that they were going to be ceasing development on this game and closing it, and closing the whole studio because they could not meet the financial demands, which means that they decided to release a game that was supposed to be like an ongoing thing onto effectively what they could only assume would be less than 1 week of runway for their company, which is an insane thing to do if you are a capital R real capital B business.
And again, this is a company that straight up said, like, hey, a bunch of our employees just work as volunteers, so they're not even paying people.
Yeah. So the last time I looked, and this was yesterday, like the return rate or the refund rate was something about like 40%. So,
high.
It's super high, but also like, even if it is, okay, 40% of 40% of enough copies to make 18,000 reviews or whatever. That's still a lot of money that they got. That they're just kind of running away with and closing the studio down. So what are they spending the money that they have left on? They've pulled the game down from sale, but it seriously does look like a rug pull on this thing.
Yeah, they claim at least that they're bankrupt.
You can claim that, and people can probably follow up on and see if that's actually been filed. I need to actually check their announcement and see if it was announced and see if it was said that they are bankrupt. What were you going to say?
I had seen that they're using their remaining assets to pay off debts.
That's possible.
Which same thing as bankrupt. I actually don't know what the technical definitions are.
I guess that could technically mean like our Coke debt.
I mean, my mortgage is a debt. Like all kinds of debts. Yeah. No, bankruptcy very specifically is a legal maneuver to get out of paying creditors. So like if they had declared bankruptcy, they would not have to pay those debts. If they had done
so I guess
effectively.
not technically bankruptcy.
Yeah. So it's a distinction without a difference. But bankruptcy is what you do in order to reorganize so the business can continue. And they're very much not doing that. Yeah,
more the general sense. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah. So wild debacle. I am extremely curious to see how the story develops. I didn't know that detail about them not paying their employees, so fuck them. And I hope a legal wrecking ball goes through their homes. Oh man,
I just think it's funny that the memory I have of that game is it was being streamed on the day of the Game Awards last week, but I saw no actual gameplay. It was just people talking to one another about what they're going to do for the Game Awards that night.
God, that's really funny. Let's see here. Dennis, what's this first-person shooter I'm seeing here?
Yeah, I guess it's my turn to bring a Kole-style Thing Exists story, or Thing will exist, hopefully, unless it goes the route of the game that we just talked about, and that there is a new shooter coming out that has the vibes of Cuphead in a 3D Doom-like shooter space. So it's simply called Mouse, and it is the Cuphead style animation, which I know has probably got its own name.
Fleischer style. This very specifically seems to be evoking like early Disney instead of Fleischer stuff.
Which how they're not getting sued to hell, I don't know. But it's all in black and white, and I don't know how I feel about that. But I absolutely love the like design apart from the color scheme. And it is just what I said. It kind of got that Cuphead 1930s vibe. But you are in that Doom perspective and riding through these levels in different ways. The kind of most endearing thing is that the death animations are very cartoony. So like you kill someone with fire, they do the thing where like they turn black and they've got the wide eyes and their body turns to ash and then the eyes blink at you before they fall down into the pile of ash. Like very cutesy stuff. And the developer has said like the thing that's going to make this a unique experience is your enemies will behave like cartoon characters. And I don't know exactly what that means. Yeah. But kind of maybe more zany or creative approaches than just getting behind cover and poking your head out every once in a while to shoot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like high aesthetic games. Mouse seems to be one of them.
Yeah, coming out in 2025. Nice. David, you stole my story, so you better make better make good on it. What did the Lethal Company update bring?
Yeah, so a big topic in game development right now is accessibility, and one of the newer areas of that is dealing with people with phobias. And because games like their stock enemies, one of the most common instances of this is arachnophobia. So, there's been a lot of different ways of dealing with this. from, just replacing them with bears to grounded, having a slider where, the
They
spider...
get more abstract.
Yeah, becomes more and more like a blob.
Mm-hmm.
But Lethal Company decided for a more elemental, simple, minimalist approach.
They took a very Lethal Company approach.
Oh yeah, it is so on brand. So when you have the arachnophobia setting set, you simply have the word spider. That
Chasing after you.
Oh no.
I think my favorite part of this actually though is if you kill the spider, the word flips over upside down.
My kid loves this show called Word World.
Okay.
And this is exactly what I'm imagining, where all the characters are made out of the word that they are.
I was hoping, so I didn't see the detail about the word spider just flipping upside down. What I hoped was it would just turn into the word dead spider.
Dead spider, yeah.
What I need to know is, like, I would love to see this put in front of a bunch of people with arachnophobia, you suffer from arachnophobia, and see if it makes a difference, actually. Like, it is what they're phobic to, the appearance of the spider, or is even just like the symbological, stand-in for spider rushing toward you and killing you enough to trigger the phobic reaction for different people, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the one I would actually like to see is a variant on the grounded approach that was explicitly taking out different parts of like what makes something a spider, because like for me, part of it, a lot of it is how they move.
Okay.
And so a spider that has, even a fairly realistic spider that has a animation that is like just kind of like, oh, they shuffle along the ground, generally doesn't bother me. Whereas something like a head crab, even though it looks nothing like a spider, but it walks like a spider.
Oh yeah, just the leg over leg kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I resent the implication that a head crab does not look like a spider.
I mean, relatively speaking.
Yeah, in terms of number of
Sure.
legs and visible eyes and stuff. Yeah.
Right. And like, yeah, I think that's one of them. Is I think some people it's the too many eyes. Things like that. I would also love to see a game that just replaced the spider with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So something I have never actually tried it to see what it does, but Shadow over Loathing has a arachnophobia mode, but it also has an arachnophilia mode.
We're just everything is spiders. Yeah, no, it's really good.
Oh, that's great.
Oh my god. Yeah. I saw a gif of this on Twitter and I just laughed out loud.
Yep.
It's pretty good.
I love also that at least the thing I'm of, it almost added more personality to the spider, because like the one I'm watching, they go into some room and the spider's like across the thing on a on a catwalk, and when it sees them, it just freezes. Which is exactly what a spider does.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure, like, if you actually had the animation, it was just like, oh, the spider can't get to you, so it's, getting as close as possible and then, stops moving. Mm-hmm. But, like, with just the words, it very much, like, my mind projected on the, like, oh, yeah, that's what the spider would do. Like, now it's hiding. It thinks it's invisible.
Yeah. Pretty good. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I got a story. I was going through VR websites over the last week looking up for releases, and I came upon this, but it is Jonathan Blow and his company are going to make a VR game. So this is the company that made The Witness. It's called Thekla Inc. And in true John Blow fashion, entering his villain arc, I wanted to read the announcement that they had for it, which is they're advertising for a game position where they're hiring for somebody to work on this game. But it's lead development of a new VR game, starting from game from scratch using an in-house engine. The game has boundary-pushing game design and is made for untethered room-scale play, with none of those game-ruining concessions for seated or stationary play. and then later in the article, he goes on to dog on C# Unity programmers, which I'm a little offended by, but it's, it's
object-oriented programming. You know what you signed up for.
Oh no, I didn't mean to start this holy war, but I'm simultaneously excited that John Blow's making a VR game, but then also I'm like, yeah, man, John Blow's going to John Blow, and that's,
he's going to make a game that nobody can play, and then also start questioning the efficacy of vaccines.
Oh wait, is that a thing?
Yeah, he's a full-on right-wing crank now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Separate art from artist,
I know, it's tough, man. It's
take that milkshake away from that duck.
Yeah. But no, I said it flippantly there, but this is, it is pretty brave of him to release a game for a subset of a subset of a subset, which is people who own VR headsets also have the space to play them, also are physically able to do room scale.
Mm-hmm,
right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've played, room scale only VR games, and they're fine, but also it's pretty hard to get the actual space to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
That's yeah.
Bold assumptions you're making about how clean I keep my house.
Yeah. So best of luck to him. I'm sure it'll at least be interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm equipped to play it, so I'll play it, but it really does seem like, I don't know. It seems like a bad business decision.
It's just pomposity aggressive.
Aside. Yeah. it's the pompousness, right? It's almost like he has a brand that he thinks people expect of him, when he would probably be a lot better if he just, get better results if he was just cool about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Huh. Cool. Well, that sounds like a show to me. How do you all feel about buttoning it up?
Let us button.
The credits.
Thank you so much for listening to level number 482. If you watched or gave during Duckstream, thank you so much for doing so. It was a wonderful time, and I'm looking forward to next year when we do it again. If you have a vote for title of the year, by the time this episode goes up, there should be a post about that in Slack and on socials and stuff like that. We'll announce the title of the year for this year, beginning of next year, as a celebratory kind of passing of the torch kind of deal from one year to the next.
From us to us.
Yeah, 2024. Yeah. Surely this one can't get any worse.
Yeah, no, sorry, bud. But there is that. For this show, leave ratings or reviews, tell your friends, subscribe, all of that good stuff. That helps us out broadly across the network. Early days for Real Lich Hours, the Baldur's Gate 3 podcast that Gary and I are doing. If you can check it out and share it, once again, that is reallichhours.com to get the first few episodes for free. For everybody to get a taste, but especially reviews and things like that. Early days are super important for any new show, to get to those charts and the directories and whatnot. So consider doing that. Is there anything I'm forgetting?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Have a good holiday.
We're
recording next week.
Yeah, we're recording next week, so we'll be back then, but not in the week. And not the day after Christmas. We're going to be taking that week off, because I'm taking that week off of everything, hopefully. Cool. Is there anything else that we want to do? All right. I've been Kole Ross. You can follow me on Blue Sky at Kole Ross.
I've been Dennis Furia. You can find me on Blue Sky at Furia Games.
I'm Moxie. You can find me on the level.
And I've been Ben Merkel.
and you can stick around for some titles.
Easter egg.
Okay. What do we got?
I got 3 for you.
Okay.
I have Property Hitman,
Okay.
which is based off of the I think the exact phrase was a hitman for property crime.
Yes.
I have Rouge Galaxy. Although since they're spelled exactly the same, I don't know how well that works.
No, they used it in a different spot. Rogue and Rogue, the U is after the G.
What? No
Yeah.
way.
Yep.
Yep. No, you're right. Yep, I'm there. Okay. I wrote it correctly and everything, and then got myself. And then finally, I have Liza P.
Okay. All right. I have one. I have See These Grapes. Okay. Moxie, you got anything?
Yeah, I had Hitman for property crime.
Okay.
Although I do kind of like Liza P.
Okay. And Ben, how about you?
I think both of these are from Dennis, but I got Press That Friendship Button.
Okay.
And then I want everything to stay hard no matter what.
I didn't want to break the flow, but is there a comma after hard? I want everything to stay hard, comma, no matter what.
I did not have a comma, but you can choose to stylize it however you'd like.
All right, I'm going to leave the comma off. All right. Liza P seems to take it unless
I like Liza P.
Okay. I've got the a period after the P as if it's an initial. Okay. Cool.
So,
Well, it is decided.